and welcome back to my corner of YouTube, y'all, here over at Quilting Beauty and Books. I pray that you and your family are all doing well, and I hope and I pray that you enjoy today's video. As you can see by the title, I am talking about none other than Cash Tate. I will not be talking about her book, Cling, because I do have that one too. I will be discussing with you guys. I'm just reading the covers for you guys of the Christian fiction books that she has out today. And she also has an autobiography. I call it an autobiography because it is about her life. But it is more than just that, you know. It's also her transformation from an unbeliever to a believer. So if you're ready, let's get started. If you don't know who Kim is, you have been sleeping under a big old rock. I mean, no, you've been sleeping in a cave with a rock in front of it, okay? Because Nay, Denise, and Angela have both been telling us all about Kim. However, I met Kim, not met, see? We friends in my head. We BFFs up in my head, okay? No, I discovered Kim last year through her study of Ephesians. I wanted to do some Bible study, and I found her through there. And when I tell you, I became addicted to her just like that. I was like, oh, I love me some Kim. And then when I found out she did more than just YouTube, when I found out she was an author of Christian fiction, oh, I went in. I went ham. I got all the books. I was so excited because after reading her first one, I was like, this is someone that I wanted to get to know a lot better. Like I said, in my mind, we are BFFs. Girl, she know it too. She know it too. Now, if you didn't know Kim, she is, like I said, an amazing author. She is a wife, a mom. She had went from an amazing career in law and then to who she is today, who God called her to be today. And we are all the ever more grateful that she listened and is following his will for her life. I'm not talking about this beauty right here today. I am talking about her Christian fiction books and her autobiography. Yes. So if you didn't know about these things, I am introducing them to you, and I am encouraging you to go out and grab every single one of them, because every single one, in my opinion, not that it means a lot to you, but it means a great deal to me, all of them are 5 stars. If I could gave it 20 stars, 100 stars. That is how much I loved her books. Her books, not throwing any other authors under the bus or anything like that. Her books, you can tell that she wrote from God's heart. When I say that is because she doesn't have any scandalous covers. She doesn't have me questioning, is this woman really a Christian? She doesn't have any, thing that crosses the line. I say that in my mind. She doesn't have anything that crossed the line that embarrasses me to read the book. She doesn't have anything that I wouldn't want my teenage daughter to read about in the book. So I am a huge, huge, huge fan, and I am fiending. You hear me? I am fiending for her next book. I cannot wait. I've been waiting a long time, Kim. I know you had these other projects and stuff in mind, that you had to do first, like the web series, going to Israel and the clean conferences and all that. But I'm waiting for that book, honey. So many of us are. So without further ado, let's get into the books, shall we? Okay, I have physical books here, and I also have books on my reader, but I'll be discussing both of them with you guys today. But the first book is her autobiography, and it's called More Christian Than African American: One Woman's Journey to Her True Spiritual Self. And the back cover reads, More Christian Than African American: One Woman's Journey to Her True Spiritual Self. Kimberly Cash Tate's spiritual journey took her halfway across the country and through a world of experience and emotion. It was in Wisconsin that this Washington, D.C. bred ambitious lawyer realized that her life was empty in the most profound way. She was living a supposedly Christian life, but without the Lord. More Christian than African American recounts the steps that led her to her reawakening, steps that many of us climb every day. She is passionate about her faith without preaching it. More Christian than African American is the story of every one of us and what we can achieve by striving to include a moral center in our lives. Again, that is More Christian than African American. Now, this book is, if you want to get to know Kim herself, this is the book that you must pick up and read. Now we will start with her novels, or her Christian fiction books, I should say. First one is Heavenly Places. I love, like I said, I already gave them 5 stars. If I could have given more, although it would definitely have more. This book, I relate more with one of her main characters, Treva. I am her in so many ways because I dealt with skin color issues just like she did in this book. The back cover reads, "This Side of Paradise." Treva Langston's life has suddenly been turned upside down. She lost her high-powered job. Her family has returned to a town that brings only memories of heartache, and she's beset with uncertainty about what makes her worthy. To her husband, she's blind to the blessings of their young family. To her mother, her awkward homecoming is just another reason why she'll never be a success. Unable to shake her fears, Treva feels nothing can save her. Treva's sister understands the trials that come with self-doubt, so with the help of her women's prayer group, she invites Treva to ask God for what she can't do alone. Despite herself, Treva rediscovers the gifts and the people she never took time to value. She finds that the promised heavenly places she has always looked for have been in front of her all along. And that is Heavenly Places. Did you see that cover? Gorgeous. The next book is Faithful. Back cover reads, Sydney Sanders thought she knew God's plan for her life. She'd married, have kids, and then snap her body back into shape with Tybo. But she's celebrating her 40th birthday as the maid of honor at her little sister's wedding, and still single. Now her life is suddenly complicated by the best man. He's the opposite of what she wants in a husband, and yet he keeps defying her expectations. Starting with a lavender rose, symbolizing enchantment, each rose he sends her reflects his growing love for her. Sydney's best friend Dana appears to have the perfect marriage until she discovers her husband's affair and her world goes into a tailspin. Then there is Phyllis, who is out of hope and out of prayers after asking God for 6 long years to help her husband find faith. When she runs into an old friend who is the Christian man she longs for, she's faced with an overwhelming choice. Lifelong friends with life-altering struggles, will they trust God's faithfulness and find the strength to be faithful to Him? I love this book. I am laughing is because when she find out her husband is unfaithful, ooh, if you want to know, you better pick up this book. It was good to me. And the next one is Cherished, a novel of unconditional love. There aren't those letters. These are letters on the cover. I'm not sure if you can tell that, but there. Cute, cute, cute. Before healing can begin for Kelly and Heather, they need to believe they are worth cherishing. Kelly London once believed of being a songwriter. As crazy as it seemed, she hoped that God would use the lyrics that came to her while she slept. She dreamed about Brian too, that the love that they shared as high school students would grow into marriage. But choices that still haunt her destroyed those dreams, until now, when a series of love letters reawakened her hopes for the future. Heather Anderson's life has spun out of control. First, an affair with a married man, then a one-night stand with the drummer of a popular Christian band has left her devastated. Broken and alone, she cried out to the only one able to save her. He met her there, but it was just the beginning, because now she must take a different path, and the one God has planned for her looks nothing like the one she envisioned. As Kelly and Heather awaken to their true worth, they find the freedom to pursue their dreams and relationships based on the security of knowing God's unconditional love. Now, before I forget, starting with Faithful, these books are starting to link characters. So some of the characters from Faithful are in Cherished, and then, and then the rest of the 3 books. And then the other ones that I will be showing you on the screen, those are a part of another series. So next one is Hope Springs. Now this one is, it's North Carolina, but it's Spring Hope here in North Carolina. So I just had to throw that shameless plug in. Hope Springs is the epitome of small town life, a place filled with quiet streets where families have been friends for generations, a place where not a lot changes until now. Janelle Evans hasn't gone back to Hope Springs for family reunions since losing her husband. But when she arrives for Christmas and learns that her grandmother is gravely ill, she decides to extend the stay. It isn't long before she runs into her first love, and feelings that had been dormant for more than a decade are reawakened. Becca Anderson is finally on the trajectory she longed for. Having been in the ministry trenches for years, she's been recruited as the newest speaker of a large Christian women's conference. But her husband feels called to become a pastor of his late father's church in Hope Springs. Will small town living affect her big ministry dreams? Stephanie London is married to a doctor in St. Louis and living an ideal life. When her cousin Janelle volunteers to stay in Hope Springs and care for their grandmother, she feels compelled to do the same. It's a decision that will forever change her. As these women come together, they soon recognize that healing is needed in their hearts, their families, and their churches that have long been divided along racial lines. God's plan for them in Hope Springs and for Hope Springs itself is bigger than they ever imagined. I love this book, guys. This one had me crying, doing a lot of crying because of some events that took place in this book. If you want to know, you got to get it. The next one is The Color of Hope. There you go. Stephanie London led a life of comfort and ease in St. Louis before feeling inexplicably drawn back to her father's roots in the tiny southern town of Hope Springs. Charlotte Willoughby has lived there all her life and longs to make a new life somewhere else. Stephanie doesn't know exactly what she's doing there or how to occupy her time. And Charlotte doesn't understand why, despite her overbearing family and reminders of her failed engagement, she suddenly led to stay. Despite its small town charm, Hope Springs itself is at a crossroads. After a failed reconciliation attempt by 2 well-meaning pastors, The town is split along racial and cultural lines with little hope for redemption. When a terrible tragedy puts Hope Springs on the national radar, the entire town is tested, and both Stephanie and Charlotte feel their lives unraveling. In the midst of heartache, though, they'll discover the true hope of color. No, I think this is the one with the tragedy. I think this leads up to it. This one leads up to this one. But I think this is the one with the tragedy. This is the one with the tragedy. And the next book is called Hidden Blessings. I love this one because a character is introduced that I am like all over. Diagnosis breast cancer, prognosis terminal, life just beginning. Her diamond caught the sun's rays and refracted light across the room. She asked herself again and again, how could she be so blessed? Partner at a prestigious law firm and engaged to the man of her dreams. There was no doubt. God had smiled on Kendra Woods. But the moment Kendra is diagnosed with terminal breast cancer, her world collapses. Within days, her fiancé backs out of the wedding and the firm suggests a leave of absence during her treatment. Of all the roles Kendra had played over the years, daughter, sister, friend, student, attorney, bride-to-be, cancer patient seemed the most unwelcome in the world. When her path crosses with that of youth pastor Lance Alexander, Kendra only sees the troublemaker she knew in high school, but Lance could prove an unexpected sparkle in the darkness that covers her. Will Kendra be able to embrace a glimmer of hope? Hidden Blessings. Now, the next 4 books, I will be popping the covers up here on the screen, and that's because they are on my Kindle. The first book is Though I Stumble. 4 women, 1 weekend, and their lives will never be the same. Stephanie London thought she heard from God when she moved to Hope Springs, North Carolina, but a tragedy in the small town left her soul desolate. Now, her husband's inattentiveness has pushed her over the edge. Bereft of hope, she travels home to St. Louis as a women's ministry conference kicks off. Though less than enthused to attend, new friendships offer strength and light. But what happens when the weekend ends and real life begins again? Trevor Langston grieves still the loss of her husband of 22 years. Now, 2 years later, her heart is breaking again as her oldest daughter travails come to light. Traveling from D.C. to St. Louis for a women's conference seemed the last thing she should do, given the circumstances. But in St. Louis, her path crosses with someone new, and her world turns upside down. Will it only lead to more heartache? Jillian Mason can't wait to attend the Living Word Women's Conference. She's done their Bible study for years and expects God to show up in an amazing way. But the weekend delivers something unexpected, a discovery about her husband. As the state of her marriage hangs in the balance, Jillian is suddenly anxious about returning home. Faith Langston has always been a girl after God's heart. She loves Living Word studies and registered early for the conference. But at the end of her college sophomore year, she finds herself in circumstances she never imagined. With a heart that has strayed from God, she makes it to St. Louis nonetheless, with her boyfriend in tow. But how will she find her way back to God? 4 women in different seasons of life converge at a women's conference with a theme that charges them to run in hot pursuit for Christ. But how do they run when challenges seem insurmountable And can they help one another navigate the difficult terrain? Guys, that book was funny to me. Do you hear me? Stephanie is hilarious. Now, I'm Sid in all these books, but I am, even though Stephanie is Sid's sister in the books, Stephanie is like my alter ego. She's not only my sister, but she's my alter ego, because the things that she say, those are the things that I want to say. But I can't say it because that's just not who Sid is. But oh my gosh, that book is hilarious, okay? The next book is If I Believe, and that cover is here. Sometimes the biggest risk is daring to hope. Cinda Ellis doesn't dare to dream. Life has dealt too many blows, and she's come to expect disappointment. But then a lifelong dream is realized, meeting her dad. And Cinda's life is finally turning until reality crashes it once again. On the verge of despair, Cinda finds connection with a group of women from Living Hope Church and an unlikely connection with one of Hollywood's hottest stars. Her life just might be turning again, but will she only suffer disappointment once more? Alonzo Coles is living the life of his dreams. On the heels of his first Academy Award nomination, people are always buzzing about his next film, but his choices from his career to his exploits with women are starting to bother him, and he's reminded of a connection he made to Jesus. His quest for answers about who he is and what he's called to do leads him to the pastor of Living Hope Church and a woman unlike any he's ever encountered. Trevor Alexander is I'm so excited. Trevor Alexander is embracing her new season. A widow turned newlywed, she's enjoying new love in a new city. In her role as pastor's wife. I'm sorry, let me read that part again. Trevor Alexander is embracing her new season. A widow turned newlywed, she's enjoying new love in a new city. In her new role as pastor's wife. But she's suddenly challenged when God begins to shake things up. What will she do when her faith is tested like never before? Faith Langston is on hiatus from life. An unexpected pregnancy had made her a new mom at 20. Now, instead of doing big things for God as she hoped, or that at least working toward her degree, she's sidelined at home. And though she thought she and the baby's father would rekindle a relationship, she now wonders if she's even on his mind or on God's mind. Has she forfeited the plans he had for her? The third book is here, and it is called If Youre With Me, and it's a novella. And they tell you to read that after book 2, if I believe, and that's the one I just wrote the description on. And it says, Faith Langston has made her choice as to whom she loves. But when the love of her life goes home just before Christmas and runs into his first love, he's faced with choices of his own. Guys, and the last book is When I'm Tempted. And it's in the back reads, When I'm Tempted is right here. I'm sorry. There's always a way of escape. Living Hope Church has seen its pastor get married and a nucleus of friends and family overcome adversity as they endeavor to grow as believers in Christ. But a trouble-free life isn't promised. The road gets bumpy once again. Join Sid, Lance, Jillian, Jordan, Tommy, and others as they discover that no one is immune to temptation. but will they learn the truth of God's promise that there's always a way of escape? Now, so guys, that is it for all of her books. Kim, I am waiting, girl, for the next one. I am on the edge of my seat waiting. I cannot wait to get that book in my hands. Oh my gracious. I'm so excited for it. But I will leave a link to Kim's YouTube channel here in the description box below. If you liked this video, if you loved this video, give it a big thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button on your way out and the post notification bell so that you will be notified of my next upload. And until then, guys, be blessed. Bye.